What's the word, y'all? It's the Pack Podcast. I'm here with my guy Abe, and he is finally back. Today we're going to be talking about sports. Once again, we've done a bit more problems. We talked about problems with school in the last one with Jason. So why don't we get Abe to start us off?
All right. Today we're starting with, can LeBron capitalize on this opportunity to capture his fourth championship to help his GOAT case, MJ or LeBron? Or will Giannis, Kawhi, or Harden get in his way? Personally, I don't think Harden's in question here. Parker is a very big believer in the Rockets and Harden. He has been showing out with his points, but I don't think that's enough to take down LeBron.
My argument with Harden is right now the Rockets are set to play the Jazz in the first round. And the Rockets have beat the Jazz in the last 3 years, so I don't doubt we won't beat them this year, especially with Russell Westbrook. So we will most likely be meeting the Lakers in the second round, right? Because it's a 4 versus 5 seed and then the 1 versus 8 seed. Unless LeBron chokes, let's choke. But I just think
if you watch last game, you see that he's not messing up really. He came clutch against the Clippers.
Clutch. Clutch. He played the Raptors today, and they lost by 15 points. So it was not a good look for Bron. LeBronto is no more. It was not a good game for the Lakers, though. LeBron, he had 20 points, 7 for 15 and 2 for 5 from 3. He had 10 rebounds and 5 assists. I just think, the way he's been playing lately, he was clutch in the last game, but I'm like, he's only been clutch in the fourth quarter, and he's kind of had to have his teammates had to keep it in it. So I feel like he needs to stop relying on his teammates, and he really needs to do this himself and go into playoff mode, like everyone's saying. I don't feel like he's the best player on this team right now.
No,
I don't think he's the best player.
He certainly doesn't look like it, especially in the first 3 quarters that he's playing. In the fourth quarter, he looks great. He looks like the GOAT. Or the GOAT that he can be. But also, if you watch Caruso's helping him.
Yeah, definitely.
Caruso's not in the GOAT run. Not really. AD was showing out well. I don't know. He was not. It could be the age.
But I'm like, if you look at his teammates, today, and nobody really played well at all. LeBron played decently, but he only put up 20 points. But I'm like, if you're trying to fight to win this game, that's not acceptable. AD had 14 points, and he only made 2 shots, and he only had 6 rebounds, which is horrible. That's in 35 minutes. JaVale McGee only had 3 points. He was 1 for 3. Danny Green was 0 for 7 and had 0 points. That's in 20 minutes. Yeah. And right KCP had 5 points, right?
Yeah. Right now, LeBron is only averaging 25 points per game, and AD has actually been showing out with 26, which doesn't seem right, but that's what's there. He is showing out with his assists. He's being good to his teammates, about 10 or 11 assists a game. So he's trying to move around the ball more than just become a Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, he's definitely a pass-first guy.
Yeah.
Don't talk bad about my guy, Russell Westbrook. This guy led the league in the assists multiple times. Yeah. I don't think people give this man enough credit for how great of a playmaker he is. And I think that the notion that he's a ball hog and a stat patter, I'm not going to say he's not a stat patter, because there is visual evidence of Steven Adams being like, whoa, you can take that rebound. But I definitely
if you watch the old OKC play, you can tell. I know what you're saying is he's not, but if you watch that footage, he takes the ball a lot more than passes it, and his assists certainly do not count up when he was on OKC. But he's definitely changed. 7 assists a game around there when coming to the Rockets. So that's.
Yeah, I think his playmaking is definitely very good. He just needs to use it more, and I think he's gotten a chance to showcase it a lot more since he's doing a lot more driving and kicking to shooters in the corners like Robert Covington.
Something he looked at off season. He certainly draws defenders when he drives. He's a powerful driver, pulls up strong, so he can kick it out to open man.
Let's move back to the LeBron talk, because I think we kind of got sidetracked a bit talking about Russell Westbrook. I think the main people that will stop LeBron are the Bucks or the Clippers. And speaking of that, I mean people who are going to be guarding him, Giannis and Kawhi. So we probably know Giannis is going to guard LeBron if they end up in a playoff series, or Kawhi will guard LeBron. And LeBron doesn't really play that well whenever he's guarded by Kawhi. So
no,
like
Kawhi is. It's obvious that Kawhi has studied him to see what he does, how he plays, and just like every other player, but he's the best defensive player in the league, so he can really put it in use.
Yeah, he's really gonna clamp him. I just like LeBron. He's gonna really have to be able to. I don't know. He's gonna have to be able to do better than Kawhi, outdo Kawhi, and he makes sure that Kawhi doesn't score on him, because we can't forget that Kawhi is definitely a lethal scorer and ISO player.
Offense and defense, both ends of the floor.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
And,
all right.
Big for LeBron. It's his GOAT case, because it's never been bigger after the Last Dance, the GOAT debate, MJ or LeBron. It's never been bigger after the documentary, and so this season he's trying to prove that he's the best player ever to play the game.
Yeah, I think like MJ, once he saw LeBron win the third title, he was definitely like, "We got to make this documentary. He might actually be better than me." So, yeah, why don't we? But also why don't we move on to Giannis? I feel like whoever wins the championship this year, if it's their first time winning it, there will be an asterisk on it. But if it's their second time winning it, it won't be an asterisk, because we've seen them do it before. So if LeBron or Kawhi wins it, we're like, oh, well, they've won multiple championships in the past before, so we know they can win championships. But if James Harden or Giannis wins it, James Harden probably won't win it. But Giannis has a good chance at winning it. People are probably going to put a pretty big asterisk on it, right?
Along with the COVID season, so everyone's going to say it's different. But these players have had lots of time to practice, get together, chemistry. Most players are playing, if not all. But it definitely could be different.
I mean, personally, I think it'd be a lot harder to win this championship, because it's so unorthodox and nobody's really used to these circumstances at all. But go on to what you were saying before.
Yeah. I agree with you. I also think, though, that LeBron is getting old. There's no doubt about it. But with that age, being the number one or two player ever to play, there's experience with that. There's experience in winning championships. There's experience with pressure and playoffs, and higher level playoff semis. So that definitely plays a factor. Giannis has never won a championship. Harden's never won a championship. Kawhi has, but Kawhi is built different than most people. But
he's just built different.
That plays a big role in who I think has a chance at it this year. It's his 17th season. I mean, doesn't get much more experience than that.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about is, I think this Rockets team, I don't know if they can make the finals, but they're definitely going to make the Lakers or the Clippers really, really struggle in the second round with this small ball. I mean, we saw not even like a day ago, maybe like 2 days ago when you're seeing this, the Rockets, they let up 85 points in the first quarter and they still won that game. I'm pretty sure it was something like the Mavs and the Rockets combined for 300 points. Four players on the Mavs had 20 points. It was a crazy game to watch. I really enjoyed it. Robert Covington came in clutch. So I don't think the Rockets will win, but I don't think it's going to be a clean sweep or anything. It's probably either team, I think they could take both teams to 6 games at least.
Yeah, especially with Harden dropping what was it, 50?
Yeah, 49 points.
49 points, and Westbrook up there with him. Not right there, but Westbrook is both of them. It's two superstars on the same team. It's what you see in the Lakers. It's what you see on the Clippers. It's two superstars though, who both are used to having the light, having the center stage, and I'm sure they've worked on it, but it's not what they want. It's not the pre OKC or pre Rockets Harden.
Yeah, I think that Westbrook definitely needs to accept that this is Harden's team. I think if they were to make it to the finals, I think that really I don't think they will, but that would really shed their labels of being playoff jokers because Westbrook hasn't made it out of the first round since Kevin Durant left, so that really hasn't been too great of a look. I mean, he lost to a rookie Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
So this is really his best chance to redeem himself. I also think like this season, I know he averaged a triple-double, averaged 30-point a triple-double. I think this is Westbrook's best season of his career, honestly. Like after the trade deadline, he's really picked up his pace. He's averaging like 31 points, shooting like 55% from the field. And then like before the trade deadline, he was averaging like 27, and I think he was shooting like 45% from the field. So he's going to the paint a lot more. He's shooting a lot less threes. He's shooting maybe like 1 or 2 a game, but that's all he needs to shoot. He doesn't need to be shooting 8 threes a game anymore. Like he has shooters around him, and I think that's why this system that Mike D'Antoni has built is perfect for James Harden and Russell Westbrook. It's great spacing.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Westbrook has definitely been more active in the paint, 8 rebounds a game, blocked. He's not going up against people. He's not challenging defenders. He's more of I want to make sure that I get the ball in the next possession, but I realize now that I have to pass it.
Yeah, playing a bit more conservative. Like
exactly.
He's gotten a lot. Like I'm not saying he's dumb. He's a very smart player, but he's gotten a lot more smart, and he's taking a lot better shots now. He actually had like a 4.0 GPA. He's really smart, actually.
He was much less of a head case. On OKC, he would go wild. He was crazy, but he's not been perfect, but he's kept his cool a lot more than he used to.
All right. Next, we can move on to the Eastern Conference. Oh, you want to talk about something? All right, now why don't we move on to who can come out of the East besides the Bucks? Because it's not unanimously the Bucks, but we know there are some other teams who can give the Bucks troubles, like the Raptors and Celtics. Abe, would you like to add on to who might be able to guard Giannis or shut down Giannis? Yes. All right, sorry we had some technical difficulties right there, but why don't we restart? Can anyone besides the Bucks come out of the East? As we know, the Raptors and Celtics, very good teams in the East, the 2nd and 3rd seed. But who on their teams can really guard Giannis? Abe, can you tell us about that?
So Giannis right now is running in one of the best players in the league right now. And he's really shown his dominance this season and last season. His height, all his abilities, shooting, dunking, driving. His defense is up there too. So who can stop him? From the 2 teams that are in in their side, Celtics and Raptors, I really only think Siakam can hold up a chance against him, just because Giannis has height, he has strength, he's physical, and he can pull up and he can move not slowly but not really fast. Good
yeah, I think he has a nice handle. Siakam did a good job whenever Kawhi wasn't guarding Giannis last year. He did a great job of switching on to Siakam. The Raptors had a really good defensive plan last year. They were making the other shooters make plays, so they would double Giannis, and they would have Chris Middleton or somebody else on the Bucks come up with have to create their own shot, and I think that's where they really struggled. So I think if the Raptors come in with that same game plan, it won't be as hard for Siakam. But I think Tatum is a very underrated defender, and Giannis obviously has the height advantage on him. But Tatum, Brad Stevens is definitely going to have to come up with a good defensive plan so that Tatum can contain Giannis or keep him from getting to the rack because that's where he's trying to go all the time. I think if he studied what Nick Nurse did
like you
and
said,
does the
like
same
you said,
thing, I think it'd be fine. But yeah, go
Tatum,
on.
You don't see Tatum as someone who could stop such a powerhouse like Giannis, but with the right coordination from his teammates too, so that they can really, like you said, contain Giannis and not let him do what we've seen him do. Um, it Tatum is definitely a strong force against him. I mean, he's certainly on the offense. Tatum is really coming out strong.
Yeah.
He's getting boards, he's getting blocks, he's getting his steals. Yeah, he's quite an underrated player for defense and offense.
Yeah, I mean, if he's hitting, he's great at creating a shot. I mean, he can pull up, hit you with a step back, or take a post fadeaway. I think he's a very great young talent. I think if he can do well on tiring Giannis out on defense, and then they double team him on when Giannis is on offense, I think that would probably be the best option for them to be able to contain Giannis, right?
Yeah, I agree.
All right, but also speaking of just guarding Giannis, who do you think is the best player in the NBA to like guard Giannis?
The whole
I
NBA,
think it's
so the whole
Kawhi.
NBA, and the whole
Yeah,
NBA had to be
the
Kawhi.
whole thing.
So we saw last year Kawhi's defensive like power and how good he was at really understanding who he was guarding, understanding what they're going to do, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how to exploit them. He really stepped up in that last year, and I think he can apply that this year too. In the Clippers game, he was really strong against LeBron. He held his own. Um, it was a close game, 2 points, 2 point loss, but he really stepped it up, and I think he can do the exact same thing against Giannis, if not more, um, in a game. Yeah.
Yeah, if that becomes a potential playoff series, I think LeBron would be a great player to guard Giannis. I mean, there's not many 7 footers or like most people who are as agile as he is aren't as tall as him because we've never seen somebody who's 6'11" or 7 feet tall be able to move like him, handle the ball like he can, and get to the rack like he can, right? So that's why I think somebody tall and like they similar to Giannis's play style, but's a better playmaker. I think that Ben Simmons. I don't think he's a better defender than LeBron. I don't think he's a better defender than Kawhi, but he has the length and he has the wingspan to contain Giannis. And I think since they play very similarly, trying to go to the rack a lot, I think he kind of knows what Giannis is going to do. So he has an idea of what Giannis's incentives are. Don't you think?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think Giannis is really he's a new style of play that we haven't seen. Someone that is tall, and another thing that's starting to be introduced in the league, which is height shooting. We saw it with Dirk. He really started developing that in the NBA, and it was definitely new. If you watch old basketball, you won't see those tall guys standing anywhere near the 3 point line. But Giannis at almost 7 feet can pull up from the 3 point line and really sink it on you.
I don't know if he's that great of a shooter, but I feel like if he's definitely able to develop that shot a bit better, that would definitely help him a lot more. Like Kristaps Porzingis, like the way he shoots. I mean, he's 7'3", right? And he can hit you off the dribble. He can hit a fadeaway. I mean, sure, he's not the quickest player in the world, but he's definitely a great shooter, right? But I want to move on because I kind of want to wrap this up soon. So why don't we talk about the Los Angeles Clippers? Well, I don't feel like we've given enough love. So why don't we touch on Kawhi and PG? Do you think they're a legit title contender? And if so, can they beat the Lakers or Bucks?
I think I watched the battle. I watched the Battle of LA. I don't know if you did, but it was a very good game.
Yeah, definitely.
Like we said, LeBron was not there in the first 3 quarters. PG hit a couple clutch late shots. Beautiful 3-pointer to tie it up. And I think if they can really pull together their chemistry and also their other teammates if they can come in and really do what needs to be done to beat a superpower like the Lakers or the Bucks, then it can be done, and they're there for it.
Yeah, but we can't have Lou Williams going to get some wings. I think he's a very important piece for their team. He's probably like the third scoring option. So if Kawhi and PG aren't hitting, he's definitely there, a great scoring option off of the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not that great on defense, but since PG's playing shooting guard, he'll probably take the guard assignments, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's great. I mean, they really have a well-rounded team. They have a lot of great role players like Patrick Beverley, who's a great defender. So even if like LeBron runs the point, like Patrick Beverley is a 6'9" wingspan and he's like 6'4", right? So he can definitely lock up LeBron, right? We've seen this before on the Christmas Day game. So I just think they're so elite defensively. I just think, and their guys can show up. If they show up, I think they could definitely beat the Lakers. I have them as my title favorites.
So we got to quicken this up. So I agree with you exactly on that. And next, we're just going to touch on the Raptors are the defending champs, but they lost Kawhi. Can they still really show themselves to make themselves a threat to these big teams in the playoffs and in the run for the title?
I mean, yeah, this is a dangerous team, man. I mean, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with. They just beat the Lakers today. I mean, the reason I just can't see them winning the chip is because we've seen very few teams win a championship without a true superstar. Now, Siakam is a quality all-star, right? But there's only like four. I know a superstar is somebody who can be the best player on a second-round playoff team. So James Harden is a superstar. Luka, I guess he's a superstar. But Kawhi, superstar. LeBron, superstar. AD, superstar. Giannis, superstar. Steph, superstar. KD, superstar. I wouldn't go as far to say Jimmy Butler or Joel Embiid, but those guys who are already bona fide Hall of Famers, those guys are superstars. I don't know if Westbrook's a superstar anymore because he's not the best guy on his team, but on his own team, he's definitely a superstar. He's not going to be like the greatest superstar, but he will – on 90% of the teams, he's the best player. Right?
I agree and disagree with you that I don't think you have to be the best player on your team to be a superstar. Like, especially like you just said, if we look at the Rockets, I think Westbrook is a superstar. I don't think he was really a leader like most of the superstars are. LeBron, if you on him on OKC, he did not pull up his teammates with him. He more just went for it himself. But I still think he was an incredible player. He still is a very good player, very skilled. He's powerful, and he can go up against some pretty strong people on the offense. But another thing, the Raptors, let's get back to them. Siakam, he's averaging 23, 24 points a game, which is the best on his team by far.
Yeah, it's the best of his career.
Best of his career. This is his year. I mean, they've got Van Vliet, Lowry starting too. They've got Anunoby. I don't know if I said that right. Who we did not see really that much last year in the finals.
Yeah, because Kawhi.
He's working out well, and I think they've adapted well to not having Kawhi on their lineup, and they've done a pretty good job this year. And they can show, just like today, they're a threat.
Yeah. The only reason I'm worried about that is I'm like, they don't have a superstar who's going to be like, I'm going to go ahead and get this bucket, and I'm going to go win this game for my team. I think they always have to – if their whole team doesn't play well, they won't win.
Yeah.
But I think that is going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Pack Podcast. If you have any requests on what we should record next, just leave it down in the comments below. If you want to be featured, just DM me, and I'll text you back pretty soon. Yeah, it's been the Pack Podcast. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see y'all later.